Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all smashing it. Happy Saturday. A bit of a miserable one today, but it's evening time, it's drive time, so let's get out, have a drive, have a chit chat, do what we normally do. So, topic of conversation today, I'm nearly 10 months in to owning the 435i F32. You know, a couple of questions I've been asked, a couple of questions I asked myself, and the main one is, do you regret not buying the M140? It's a funny one, that, because I really did want an M140, and it was so hard to find one that hadn't been crashed, hadn't had the backside torn out of it, wasn't mapped to ridiculous amounts, and the spec was the main one. Like I say, I looked at them every day, long and hard, up and down the country, and they might have Pro Nav with no heated seats, Harman Kardon with no Pro Nav, and it got frustrating. And then ones that were all right were on the moon, and I just thought I couldn't be bothered travelling. And the bonus with this was it was on my doorstep. It was literally 10 minutes from my house. But my main reason I wanted the M140 was because of the engine, the B58, which is bulletproof to an extent. Fantastic power out the box, and it was just a savage motor. But then the main reason I wanted to get rid of my F30, my 330D, was fair enough, it was an M Sport, it had heated seats, it didn't have Pro Nav, it didn't have Alecki seats, it didn't have Harman Kardon, it was quite basic. So I just thought, you know, the 435 came up with what, I think it had just over, what are we on now? We're on 42,000, so I've done about 12,000 miles in it. And it was fully loaded with the right mileage, and it looks the part. And I still think to this day, when I look at this car, it looks a lot better. Sorry, 1 Series guys, but I think it looks, you know, I'm 42, and I just think this car looks the part. Every time I walk up to it, you know, I think, yeah, it looks nice, that, like, looks the part. I'm not saying M140s, you know, they're quite underrated in their appearance. You know, they've got the little canard things above the fog light area, and obviously the 2 pipes out the back. And other than an M140 badge, that is it. So a 120D can basically look exactly the same, and that's the same with these. But I think the shape of these, and with the kit on, like I've got the, you know, the splitters at the front, little spoiler, bits of carbon here and there, carbon rear diffuser, I think they look the part. And obviously this has got the 2 chrome pipes out the back, looks really nice. But then it's down to, again, to engine and performance. Obviously I've got the AirTech on this, and I've had it mapped, so it's pushing about 380 brake. So by all means, it's not a slow car. An M140 on a stage 1 would probably be pushing closer to 400 brake, and obviously in a smaller, lighter car, unless you start messing around with differentials. There's always that question, because they're a light car and the wheels are right at the, you know, basically the back bumper. Can they get the power down? This, you know, this does light up the tyres, but it doesn't really lose traction. It can, in wet conditions, it does have some difficulties, whereas the M140s, from what I've read, are undrivable. But then it's down to that old additive of, you know, what was the compromise, and I felt that this was the compromise. Don't get me wrong, you know, an M140 pulls up at the traffic lights, and fair enough, if it's mapped dry day, sadly you're getting it. Like standard one, obviously I'm gonna leave it like but then a lot of people argue that the M55 is obviously, it's used in the M2 and non-competition. It's not a bad engine, it's not the best, but it's not the worst, but it sounds fantastic, and a lot of people argue that the M55 does sound a lot better than the M140 donkey, which, you know, I've been out in an M140, obviously you start messing around with exhausts and stuff. Like obviously mine here has got both the flaps open on the back, so in sport mode, obviously I had the pop and bang map removed, but obviously in sport mode you do get a bit of a rumble out the back, and obviously with the AirTech you get that lovely whoosh like Darth Vader under the bonnet, which I still don't get bored of to this day. So I think in life it was just basically a bit of a compromise, and I think I got a better car. Some may beg to differ. Obviously, like my current situation at the minute, you know, money's tight, so I've moaned about fuel economy, where my 30D was just, it was fast and amazing on fuel. I am maybe gonna look into getting another car when I get myself sorted out personally, but I think I might go for a second car, so maybe look at a 30D, maybe not an F30 or, you know, the F series era, but I've also had a few crazy thoughts about, you know, this is still worth all right money. It's on 42,000, it's in decent condition, it's a good spec, it's been well looked after. Thought about going crazy and going M. It's like I get myself like I've been using my mum and dad's car, my mum's little town run around all week, the little Peugeot 107 thing, like three cylinder 1 litre, and it's like, should I just get something like that and get something a bit fruity for the weekend? Like I fancy an M3, the 4-door version of this. I like the 4-door, I think it looks quite beefcake. But then I've crazy thoughts about getting an M5 and stuff like that. But there's part of me that does want to keep this. I do like this car, I like it a lot. Rumbles out the back there. It does tick a lot of boxes. It's not the fastest thing in the world. It you know, it goes all right. You know, it pulls away. It does do the job, and it sounds great. So I think, you know, to answer people's questions on the M140 side of things, if I got rid of this, I wouldn't go for an M140. I'd either keep this and mess around with it, or I'd go M, or keep this, go back to the diesel days. Do like a diesel, especially the 30D. Just ticks all the boxes at the minute, this now. Does me. I've not had it for a week now. It's just been parked at my mum and dad's. Obviously, video I did the other day, if you've got them backlight issues, didn't want to go on the motorway in case the cop shop decided to pull me with no indicators, no rear lamps, because obviously I was on a late shift last week. So driving my mum's, and I couldn't wait to get back in this. It's comfortable, it's nice, it does the job. So I think if you are kind of in the market as well, and you've been in that predicament where you're looking for a M140 or even an M135, and you know, a 435 comes up, definitely wouldn't write them off. You know, a bit of a fiddle here and there. They're a fantastic car. So guess it's one of them. It's kind of like the mature version, I like to call it. Like, I'd have probably looked a bit boy racer in an M140. I don't mind the label of boy racer, because I guess I always have been one on the sly, like. But as you're getting older, you know, you rock up places, you can fly in the car, and you just look a bit more sophisticated, even though I don't look sophisticated, but the car does. And it always gets lots of attention when it's whooshing up the street, and you get yourself, even though it is just a 4 Series, it's always clean. You always get people commenting, going, "It's nice that, mate." And it's an old car now, you know. It's on a 63 plate. You know, there's a lot nicer cars out there, but people always comment and go, "It's clean, that looks the part." Oh, it's a 3.5, is it? Turbo 6, yeah. So I guess I'm not too disappointed. I think maybe at first I was a bit like, what am I doing? But then I think as time went on, I think, well, I prefer this. Like, it's a lot nicer. So who knows what the future holds car wise. I would like to keep this and potentially get a diesel, but I'm always, it's so dangerous. Just looking at M cars, it's dangerous, because I can't daily it. I'd have to buy another car. But the thought is, I always said when I got rid of my M3, you know, I had RS6s and S4s, and I always stand by that E46 M3 on the SMG box was probably one of the most fun cars, and one of my biggest regrets getting like rid of. The rest of them, it was like, yeah, they went well, they sound all right, but that M3 was awesome. I loved that car, and that is one of my biggest regrets. And I would quite like to return to an M, like, at some point before all electrification goes mental. That was part of the reason as well for going for a petrol turbo. Just thought, I'm going to have this while we still can, like. So there we go, guys, just a little chat on my thoughts on this bad boy. Thanks for sticking with us. I know it's been through tough times. Tom's got plans there. Obviously I'm going to start putting my ideas in my head onto YouTube, and we'll go from there. So there we go, guys. Remember, like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Take it easy.